Okay, so I've been a fan of yours for I would say a pretty long time. Yeah. So you asked at the end of the video to put a video response of your criticism of Lucky Star. Now let me start off by saying I do not hate Lucky Star. Far from it, I love the series very much. So I really identify with Konata and sometimes Tsukasa and other times Kagami. But Miyuki, not so much. But I also like the other minor characters, like the girl with the pink hair, the girl with the green hair, and sometimes Patty. Patty kind of reminds me of a weeaboo I once knew in fifth in like fourth grade, but that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time. Like I'll never get a chance to tell it anyway. So yeah, back to the point. Criticism of Lucky Star. I have to say I have very little criticism of this series as a whole. But if you want, if but if I could nitpick without sounding like a complete retard in my argument, I guess I would say this anime made me watch other anime. This anime made me aware of Kokia's Solution Rebellion. Also made me aware of of the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. I've watched Kokia's Solution Rebellion. I've watched the entire series. Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya though was like iffy because I've watched a complete first season of Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. The second season really not so much because something about it just kind of was a turn off for me. And I went nah, and the disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya really didn't catch my attention when it came out, so it really didn't make me go, oh, I need to watch this, see what happens. It looks like a cool movie. I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna stay away from those two. I'm set with the mindset I have in that series right now. So back to the argument, I like to bring up the references. It was all leading up to this, people, and you, mostly Siren Wolf. The references of in the show. Iris, she makes references to the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, and mostly that. Mostly everything is that, and I think Kokiya's Rebellion. And I don't know. There was a reference made whenever she goes to the store and the guys were trying to make her buy something, and the arc is like all epic and dramatic, like oh, and I'm like, what is that reference from? And I've heard numerous videos what it actually the reference is, but I don't remember at the time, so I'll just keep that as a reference. I know it's a reference, but I don't know what it's from. But also this series is kind of fun to watch because it also makes you think, I just can't classify the series really that much because it's a show about nothing. The series, though, if I were to put it as any plot, it would have the plot of four high school girls going through high school. That's it. Because if I were to say it's also about an otaku, well, some episodes are not about her being an otaku. Although, I think in every other episode, to my knowledge, she makes a reference to something, and the comedy is pretty good too. I I've read the strips, some of them. I'm still trying to read all of them, but they're funny so far. Other than the references, it would have to be the constant. It would have to be Patty. Patty gets on my nerves because Patty is just I don't know, but it's the fact that Patty is a weeaboo. It's a show. It's a show about nothing, and it also has a bunch chunks of anime references in there. And Patty is the American exchange student that comes to this show. And the fact is, the Japanese Patty speaks throughout the entire anime is like it's referenced. It's later said in the series that she's like that she was talking she was some I forgot what character was talking to her. Some character was talking to her, and she was like, well, don't you already speak fluent Japanese? She was like, no, I've learned all the Japanese I know by watching anime. Up to this point, I've never been fluent in Japanese ever. So right now I am actually fluent, but before then I didn't know like much. So basically that's saying like that she's a weeaboo. We know this because when Kanata actually in one episode asks her what type of music do you listen to, she names all these bands and stuff, and then Kanata says, you know, that's from those songs are from anime openings. You know that, right? She's like, like she knows. So she's a weeaboo. That's basically almost all her knowledge of Japan comes from comes from all her watching anime. So I guess she kind of fangirled majorly hard when she was told, you're moving to Japan. I don't know, but that's just a little fan canon of mine. I think when whoever told her, oh, you're going to Japan, you're moving to Japan, she probably went, yay, yay. She probably went scream around the room, going, I'm going to Japan, I'm going to Japan. Even in her character song, per, some something parade, she references how she's an otaku, like how she has manners or something like that, and how she goes to Akihabara, which in Japan is majorly known for its amount of anime items and anime related stuff. Cause like I actually did some research about that. Like she's like Akihabara town. I was like, what is that about? So I went to go search it up, and I was like, Akihabara, a place mostly known for its anime merchandise and stuff like that. So I went, that must be she was referencing it. So the thing with Lucky Star is, it's just like that. You gotta, if you don't know what they're talking about, they don't explain it in the series. Kanata can make a reference, and if after you get enough references, you put two and two together and you understand some things. But at some point, you just like go, yeah. But also, in the series, we also have um a Yaoi and Yuri fangirl. Forgot her name. She has black hair and purple eyes. I forget her name, but I like her. She's kind of cool. She draws yaoi. I think and Yuri. I don't know if she draws yaoi and Yuri. I don't really know anymore. So yeah, that's basically it. And I'd like to add anything. It's the series is mostly known from some people to be like an otaku show. Like it's like I've been to conventions. Like, have you watched Lucky Star? And they'll say that's an otaku show. And what they mean by that is it's an otaku show because it references so many other animes. It's like you have to be well-rounded in the world of anime to know half the time what Kanata is talking about. But in this anime, they also make a lot of references to real life too. Like if you look up clips, there's clips of many of things of like Kanata's watching the thing and was talking about something about the animation, and she went back on her computer and she's like, "Oh, they're flaming already," and I was like, "Yeah, it's kind of how it is. 'Cause people flame really quickly." And also, I think I'm babbling here, but I guess I'm getting to a point. I just have to wait till I go have my Eureka moment and go on for another 5 minutes. But also, this series is, like I said, it is an otaku show. You don't have to be an otaku to watch this. It's not like it's a requirement, but just be aware that when you start watching this show, but you're not into anime, you have to, like, if you're not really into anime and you want to watch Lucky Star, I would say it's not really for you. If you want to understand half the conversations in that show, then I suggest you have you've watched some types of anime, because when you watch that show, it's like it references other anime, and you go, what, huh? And then causes you to go type it up, go like, oh, this is the anime she was referencing. So some otakus could just start watching the series and go, oh, she's making a reference to the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, or oh, she's doing the Haruyuki, or oh, she's referencing Kogiyasu Rebellion, or she's referencing such and such, or she's referencing Dragon Ball Z or something like that. Just whatever. Some people just go, what dance is that? Some people go, is she cosplaying, or is that her original costume, or like that? Like, but you know what doesn't help? That in the Japanese VA for Kanata Izumi also does the voice of Haruhi Suzumiya. So in some way they're like interconnected, cause it's just I can see it happening. Like it's just like I'm sure that's a whole nother thing. And some people say the anime characters are intertwined in some type of universe. No, they're not. They're completely two separate characters. They just happen to have the same VA. So I hate when people bring up that argument like, oh, they make all these references to Haruhi Suzumiya because the same person who does a voice for Kanata Izumi does a voice for Haruhi Suzumiya. Like, no, you're kind of wrong there. See, this thing was her voice. I didn't know this. Her voice to me sounds drastically different from Haruhi Suzumiya, and that I mean Kanata's. So I really couldn't tell until I found this magical fact out by looking through YouTube and people bring this junk up again and again and again. And I also when I also looked it up and I was like, okay, I understand this now. But the thing with this show, at the top of my list of what I don't like about the show is that what really do I hate about this show? It's more so of maybe I need to let me think a little bit. Oh yes, it's that it has an issue with the first episode. Now, maybe the whole premise of the show is about nothing. It's just about four high school girls going through high school. That's the basic premise of the show. And then you got minor characters that are brought in later on. That's the whole premise of the show, what it seems to me. But it's the first episode where they're talking about how to eat a food. I forgot what it was. It was like a cone shape and there was chocolate in it. And they were talking about how to eat it. And what happened was I felt like, I had to sit through that, and I went, oh God, if this show was gonna be about, this show is awful. But I'm glad I resolved my issue and be like, there's more apps to this, so I will watch the other episodes after this. And the funny little fact is, the director for that episode got fired the very next day. I don't know, he just got fired. He got fired like, boop, you're out. And I think the next director, I forget who directs the rest of the series, or if there's different directors for different episodes. I'm not really sure, but yeah. So let me revise. Let me go over this. Lucky Star has Patty, who her full name is Patricia Martin, who's a weeaboo, but it's like she's a weeaboo, and she kind of annoys me throughout the series. But she kind of grew on me, because I remember my weeaboo stage. Thank God I grew out of it, but I was kind of like her a little bit, even though I didn't know what the heck Akabara was. The references and all the anime and all the anime references, I guess should be saying clear. All the anime references in the series, which makes it really hard for a person who hears about this anime, hears how, like, when people tell them how good it is, and they sit down and watch it, but half the time they don't understand anything that's going on sometimes, because the references aren't made for people who do not watch anime a lot. Because some people can just know about Madoka Haruhi Suzumiya and just get the reference, but other people don't know, like, much of other anime, so they'll just be sitting there like, I have no idea what she's talking about, and that will cause you to have to go look up junk, and to me it was very annoying. The first I guess I already said that when I was saying revise. I know the first episode was, like, kind of annoying, and I glad I stuck through it. And last but not least, I guess I didn't mention this, but I just thought of it now. It's the fact that, these characters do not look the same, they do not have the same personalities, but I'm getting to a point here. It's like, people complain about how the series, that's one of my criticisms of the show, how the characters don't look like they're in high school. That's not a problem with me. It's just that my criticism is the criticism of some of the fans who like, oh, there's a lolicon show or something like that when they make jokes. It's okay to make jokes. When people who barely watch the show and just make on the assumption that it's a show for lolicons, this show has no other fansers, I think, other than Miyuki, except for that one episode where she was running, and they were like, "Oh, Miyuki, go!" And she was doing the race, and she guess what broke the rope when they were at the same spot? Guess. her prominent features broke the rope. I'm gonna let you fill in the blanks. But yeah, this series, I guess kind of babbled. But this series is kind of like okay. It's there's nothing I can really talk about that I can hate. But those are some of my few criticisms.